नमस्कार, सत श्री अकाल, आदाब, खम्मा कड़ी और राम राम सा। वर्कमॉप द्वारा शुरू की गई कहानियों की इस मुहिम को आगे बढ़ाते हुए आइए दोस्तों बढ़ते हैं आज की अगली कहानी की ओर। आज हम मुलाकात करेंगे रिपुंजय बरारिया से और जानेंगे इनकी सफलता की कहानी के बारे में। आपको बता दें, रिपुंजय बरारिया शुगरबॉक्स कंपनी के को फाउंडर एंड सीटीओ है। दोस्तों, ये इस टेक्नोलॉजी फील्ड में पिछले 25 से भी अधिक सालों से काम कर रहे हैं। आपको बता दें, इनका जन्म और पालन पोषण राजस्थान के जोधपुर जिले में हुआ। जी हाँ, इन्होंने अपना ज्यादातर समय यहीं रहकर बताया। अच्छी शिक्षा प्राप्त की और अच्छी शिक्षा हासिल करने के बाद ये करियर में आगे बढ़े और आज एक बेहतर मुकाम पाया। दोस्तों, टेक्नोलॉजी फील्ड में अपने व्यापक अनुभव के साथ ये लगातार आगे बढ़ रहे हैं और अपनी कंपनी को सफलता के उच्च मुकाम पर पहुंचाने की कोशिश में लगे हैं। आपको बता दें, दूरस्थ क्षेत्रों में जहां इंटरनेट कनेक्टिविटी खराब है, वहां इन्होंने हाइपर लोकल एज कंप्यूटिंग के आइडिया के साथ लोकल स्मॉल फिजिकल सर्वर्स स्थापित किए ताकि लोग क्लाउड कंप्यूटिंग का उपयोग कर ग्लोबली कनेक्ट रहे। लोग इंटरनेट पर डिजिटल कंटेंट आसानी से प्राप्त कर सकें और उन्हें किसी तरह की कोई परेशानी ना हो। इसीलिए इन्होंने शुगरबॉक्स कंपनी की स्थापना की। हालांकि इसकी स्थापना से लेकर इसे आगे बढ़ाने तक इन्हें कई चुनौतियों का सामना भी करना पड़ा, लेकिन इन्होंने उन तमाम चुनौतियों को पार करने में सफलता प्राप्त की। आपको बता दें, आज इनकी कंपनी में 200 एम्प्लॉइज कार्यरत हैं, जो वाकई में कंपनी की सफलता को दर्शाने के लिए पर्याप्त है। दोस्तों, इनके लिए सफलता अर्जित करने की यात्रा पार करना जरा भी आसान नहीं था, लेकिन इन्होंने ये सब कुछ अपनी कड़ी मेहनत, लगन और आत्मविश्वास से हासिल कर दिखाया। आइए इनकी सफलता की इसी कहानी के बारे में और विस्तार से जानने के लिए मिलते हैं सीधा इनसे और सुनते हैं पूरी कहानी सिर्फ और सिर्फ इनकी अपनी जुबानी।
My name is Ripunjay Bararia. I am born and brought up in Jodhpur, Rajasthan. I have been working for the last about 25 plus years in the whole of India, everything to do with technology. Currently now I'm the co-founder and the CTO at SugarBox Networks. SugarBox it's like the whole idea is that when you face the biggest problems is then when you start scratching your head and trying to find solutions to it, and that is exactly how SugarBox was formed. My co-founder was doing work for a company by delivering video content to the customers. And one of the biggest problems that they were facing was to actually download and access the content itself. The primary problem being that it was very expensive to download movies. He was able to provide fantastic quality of movies and everything. But because of the cost of downloading movies was very, very high, even though the movie itself was free of cost, people were not able to really consume it. We started brainstorming on it. We got down together and we formed SugarBox. That is how SugarBox started. The original idea and even today, the whole idea that we have been going forward is to be able to go out and give access to content which may or may not be available to everybody at the cheapest practical possible. And when I say cheapest, we almost get it down to a zero data download cost for the customers. And because we are at a place, we can go out and add a lot more value to the end customers' experience overall. We can add a lot more value to our partners' experiences for their customers. We are able to bring a lot more value to the total goal. So when you talk about hardships, I would more term them as learnings. And I think all of us in all places that we go to, when we're walking on the road and you fall in a ditch the first time around, if you take it up as a learning, the second ditch, you have to go around it. And that is exactly how we have grown. In SugarBox, we have been trying to make something from 0 to 1. Success for everybody is very different. For me, success is to be able to go out and deliver or to enrich and augment the internet ecosystem overall. That is where I have always been there, and to be able to learn more and more on a day-to-day basis. So where we began and where we are today is being able to enrich the whole ecosystem of internet connectivity for the end users, which allows an end customer, somebody who is in a very disconnected environment, somebody who's in the village who may not have proper internet connectivity and all. When I'm able to go out and provide an e-education to my customer and to a very small kid in a village, that is, I think, what I would consider as a success. SugarBox, the primary thing that we offer is cloud fragment hyperlocal edge solutions. What cloud fragments is, everybody has been very accustomed to what cloud infrastructure is. Cloud is basically a set of big, large data centers running lots and lots of computers with lots of processing power and all. When you take all of that power and get a very small fragment of that power right next to the end user is what a cloud fragment is. And what we have done and developed is to develop that cloud fragment technology to be residing as close to the actual last consumer as practically possible. And then augmenting that cloud fragment with the last mile connectivity over Wi-Fi. That is the primary thing that we are doing. As we are deploying all of these solutions, one of the primary use cases for the solution is to be able to provide content delivery solutions. And when I say content delivery, we are able to deliver content for e-commerce, we are able to content for education, we are able to deliver content for general entertainment, telemedicine, all kinds of stuff. And the biggest advantage and the most unique thing that we have, which we have patented, is the whole idea that we can deliver a lot of these services while the end user is in a completely disconnected state. So there is no internet connectivity at the back end, there is no mobile network, there is no nothing at all. The person could technically be flying in an aircraft and we are still able to offer a lot of these services. The person could be inside a village where the connectivity is very, very intermittent. We are still able to offer a lot of these services without any hindrance to the end users. And most of the time, we are able to deliver these services to the end customers at practically zero data transfer cost. The industry is, I think, very mature. But the maturity of the industry is typically from when everything is connected. What I am doing for the industry, and when I say industry, it is not just pure play the cloud infrastructure or anything. I'm more bothered about the whole internet and the connectivity part of it. What we come in is that we augment the internet capacity at a location where internet connectivity is either non-existent completely, like if you're in an aircraft and there is no satellite internet in that particular aircraft, or if you're in a village where the interconnectivity is extremely unstable. So there are places, there are villages, because they're in hilly regions and all. The connectivity is literally like a couple of hours in a day. That is what we are trying to do, and that is what we are trying to augment. Sacrifice is a very strong word for it. It's all the blood, sweat, and effort that I would say any startup, and it's not just about a startup, any person who works, it could be a startup, it could be an employee, it could be the lowest employee or the highest employee in a company. It's about the blood and sweat that you put into your work to make it shine. And I think we did exactly that same thing. We put our blood and sweat in it. And I think now today is where we're actually able to see it grow. And we would love to see it fructify at some point in time, and we're definitely getting to that place soon. I don't even call myself a leader. I tend to have a group of insane friends who I like to work with, amazing colleagues who I like to work with, and solve problems. So I don't even know if I'm a leader or not, but I love to get people along with me and ensure that we get to solutions faster than anybody else. So how somebody perceives that as being a leader or not is very different. I think the toughest calls are aligning the priorities when it comes down to choosing between work and family life. I think that would be the toughest calls. There are points in time when family is also demanding enough from you, and at the same point in time, your business and your work also demands enough and more time from you. Managing that is typically being the most difficult challenges. But pure play work, I think when I figure out people who are good people, and because of how they work, and you have to let them go. I think because of their ethics, they have to be let go. They might be very good workers and all. I think the point in time that you got to choose that, okay, this is somebody who is a good guy, but unfortunately not fit for us, is a very tough call. It's always a very, very tough call. One thing I liked about the work, and I think that would be the wrong question. I think I like everything and everybody who I work with. It's just not one thing. Waking up in the morning, getting to the office is it's second nature. I want to be in the office. I want to be surrounded by the people. And I think one of the things that I really, really love is the energy. We have got amazing young people. We have got amazing experienced people who teach you new things in and out on a day-to-day basis. And there is a guy who is just out of the college. He comes up to you and says, sir, can we do this thing in this manner? And you are like scratching your head, dude, I have been in this place for such a long time and I could not figure this thing out. And this kid who is just 1 year out of college is coming up with a solution which is like rocket science. So I think that energy is something that is just too beautiful. And that is exactly what I like about this. Somebody who I look up to, somebody who I would consider as my idol, they would not be one person. Like I said, I've met enough and more of people in my journey through the last so many years. And I think the youngest one of them and the eldest one of them, my dad, relatives, my partners, my co-founders, I think every one of them is somebody who I look up to for sure. And it is not about they being senior to me or junior to me. They are people who give you a different dimension of the whole life as an experience. So I would not put that one person right up on that place that he is somebody who I would follow blindly. Too many to go out and say this. But I think ultimately, if you look into how everybody's, all of you and my everybody's life is shaped is by all our teachers. And I would consider every single person I meet as my teacher. So kudos to them, I would say. So somebody new coming into the IT industry, coming at whatever level, you coming in as a programmer, you coming in as somebody who takes care of the network, somebody who is an on-field, keep your brains open. Yeah, I think there are way too many people out there who know enough and more than you have been taught in the schools and colleges and the institutes that you have come through. So I would simply got to tell you that just be open and just absorb everything that is thrown at you. And that is how I have grown. I have had people teach me programming. I have had people teach me networking. I have had people teach me security and everything in between. And today, where I am is because of all the people and simply because I choose to keep my brains open and not close myself into that, okay, I'm only going to code in such and such language, or I'm going to go out and become this kind of a person only. I want to become a senior programmer, or I want to become a junior programmer and such and such. I was just open to experimenting with everybody. And this is during the initial phases. Once you start liking a particular area is when you need to start becoming extremely proficient in it. That absolutely does not mean that if you become a programmer, you should not know anything about how a server looks and how a server functions. What is a network? How does a network work, or how does a network not work? So even though you may be extremely good at what you do in one very specific stream, you should always keep yourself open on the 360-degree that you have available from all the people who are around you. That's what my advice would be. If it comes to education and experience, each one of them has played a very, very, very unique role in this. And I would start from the most basics of it. So if I did not know how to read and write, and I'm just plain read and write, like the English and the Hindi and the Sanskrit that we were taught, if I did not know how to read and write, I may not have been able to read in all the books that were available on the whole computer, the technology, the IT of the world. And if I did not know how to do that, I would not have gained experience. I would not have failed enough and more times to learn from the mistakes. So it's actually an equal thing. Education tells you that you need experience, and experience is where you get more educated from. And that is exactly the whole cycle that keeps on repeating itself. And if you keep on storing all of this with you, I think you grow automatically. So that is what my idea is. Growing up in Jodhpur was a very different experience. Jodhpur is a very close-knit community, very small town. So everybody knows who you are. You go anywhere, your dad will know that this is exactly what you're getting yourself into trouble. So it's always been very different. And I remember the first time around when I had landed in Bombay, and this was sometime in July, the first rains had just started. I stepped out and I to buy something and all. And I'm on SV Road, and I'm on one side of SV Road, like literally. And across SV Road, the other part was raining. And I'm standing there, a guy from Rajasthan, never seen rain in this amount of volume. I'm just standing there, amazed at seeing half of the road wet, drenched, and still raining, and the other side of the road is absolutely dry. So that was the most enlightening experience that I had, that this is how nature can be. So that is where I am. For fun, I think two things that I do most of the time. Both of them are amazing stress busters for me. I love to cook a lot. Of course, the wife loves it. And then I love to drive. I drive a lot. Last year, me and my wife went on for a good 13,000 odd kilometer trip across 13 states in India. And fantastic trip. So that is what I do for fun outside of work, so to say. Well, if I had a time machine and I could go back and fix the mistakes that we could have done, I think I would have put in a little more, or maybe a lot more effort in finding the right set of people to work with. I've had to let go of fantastic people, like really very good people, simply because of cultural misfits, individual amazing contributions from those people, but they could not gel with the rest of the team. So I think those are the set of people who I'd have loved to go out and put in a little bit more effort in finding them out, evaluating them from this particular angle also before hiring them. I think that I think would have been one of the few calls that I would have to go back and re-review and fix if I could. So I think we were in the same bandwagon when it came to shutting down offices. It was too sudden, too soon. We had no idea how to actually run a completely remote. So getting the admin team enough passes, getting all the valid permissions from the government entities, ensuring the safety of all of these people was paramount, ensuring people were taken care of. We had some very bad incidences in the office, people losing their near and dear ones. But I think ultimately what happened is we got our footing. We went through a process of enabling every single one of our people with remote connectivity solutions, getting things in order so that they could work remotely. The biggest challenge was the whole change that had come, because today somebody can literally walk up to me to my seat and just discuss on a problem and we can fix it over just a chat of 5 minutes. Figuring out a timing and to ensure that the timings were met. People were on calls at the correct point in time. And they could finish the chats on time and all, ensuring that everybody had enough bandwidth to be on a call and finish the call and take decisions was, I think, one of the biggest challenges. The HR team was really harassed. They were every single member of the team is, I think, from the HR was the ones who were the most stressed out in this point in time. They were trying to control people from simply going out and quitting. They were trying to help people who were in need of medical issues, who were in need of, I don't have a place to rent because somebody wants their own house back. So all kinds of things. I think those were the team members who really put everything into it to ensure that we were able to work properly. And they came up with all kinds of solutions. They came up with Friday evening carnivals and joke sessions and everything. So everybody was entertained, everybody was in that same group, we were all in that same family kind of a setup. So we could all work with a little less stress on our heads. We ensured that there were no pickets or anything anywhere. So everybody was pretty much taken care of very well. And I think that's the only reason that we could survive, thanks to everybody working for us. One thing that I would like to tell everybody who's trying to get in on the entrepreneurship now, as people who have just coming into it, getting out of office, starting up their own ecosystems and all, or people who have been in jobs and now transitioning into a business role. One thing that I would want to go out and tell each and every one of you is that every single atom in your body needs to be on the same page. Absolutely. You can't be at a place that, okay, 50% of me thinks that I should go left and the other 50% goes right. And it can't even be 99.9999% of me goes left and that 0.0001% goes right. It has to be 100% unanimous. And I think that's the only way to go. The minute you have that 1% doubt, the chances of you succeeding become very bad. That's what I can think of. You should not have that duality in your thought. You should be extremely focused. One achievement that I'm very proud of, I think that has to be SugarBox. It's the biggest thing that we have gone out and achieved. We are now a family of 200 people. And all of us are creating something which is so radical, so out of the box. Nobody else is there who has done this ever. So this is, I think, the most amazing product and the most amazing thing that I've ever done in my life, for sure. So hyperlocal edge compute is basically what I was talking about, a fragment of the cloud ecosystem that all of us are very comfortable with, and taking that fragment of the compute power. So a typical cloud data center would have thousands of computers, hundreds and thousands of gigabytes and terabytes of memory and storage and networking and everything available out there. You can't technically take every single one of these cloud data centers to every single customer. They still need connectivity to these things. Unfortunately, at places where this connectivity is intermittent or is not really available is where we come into with our hyperlocal edge compute deployments. So we deploy a physical server at these locations, typically like a village. And we connect this server to a Wi-Fi network, which covers maybe a part of the village, the whole village. So that the customers in that locality would be able to go out and be able to consume content which is stored on this server. On top of it, because it's a hyperlocal edge compute environment, so it's very close to the customer, there is a lot of use cases where you can actually do compute at the edge itself. Simple things could literally be calculating the the percentage of commission that needs to be given to somebody else while you're doing a localized transaction between two people in the same village. That could technically be calculated there and there itself. It could very well be a gaming deployment, which people in that locality are the ones who are playing with each other. So the game server could actually be deployed over there and there itself. Where it goes and flows into the actual cloud infrastructure is, once all the compute is done, ultimately everything is still stored in the same server. And then once it is stored and available, whenever the backend connectivity becomes available or becomes enabled again, all of that stuff, whatever was calculated, whatever was stored, is also replicated to the actual cloud in the backend also. A typical use case for this would be an IoT deployment. So if you look at the current generation of farms and all, they have these very elaborate sensor networks which are deployed in a farm. So it could be as simple as a humidity sensor, and the sensor goes out and tells the farmer that the humidity in the soil is at such and such level. Because it has fallen below an X percentage, you should start the pump so that the irrigation systems can start and you can actually start watering the plants. The typical scenario in this is the sensor will send it to a sensor gateway. The gateway will then get connected to the internet and send the data to a cloud ecosystem in the backend. And then the cloud ecosystem has the business logic which will compute that the pump should be enabled or disabled based on the soil moisture levels. And then we'll send a command back to this gateway for the sensors, which will then go out and then enable or disable the pump. All of this is very nice. It's already demonstrated. It definitely works. Hundreds of people are already using it. The problem is the connectivity. If the IoT gateway does not get connectivity to the internet, the first thing that happens is the sensor data which came in at whatever date and time, it is completely lost, or maybe a very fractional data, that data could be stored in the server. What we do with the hyperlocal edge deployment is that this sensor gateway is now connected to our server, which is locally deployed. So the connectivity is always in place. Our server has a small business logic which is there on the server itself, which is doing one thing and one thing only, which goes out and says, if the soil moisture goes below a certain percentage, enable the pump so that water can flow out. And once it goes beyond above a certain level, stop the pump so that the irrigation system is complete. Now, all of this data is stored in the server, and all the replies and the events are taken care of locally. So there is no need of internet connectivity. But once the internet actually becomes available, again, at some point in time, maybe in the same day, same hour, maybe in a week, the server also synchronizes all of this information from a historical point to the backend in the actual cloud also. So now we have this system which can actually take care of systems which are unconnected and disconnected or partially connected also, and then still the systems can function. So that is what hyperlocal edge cloud is. Thank you to all the audience who has been able to watch this, and I hope I could have inspired you in any way possible. Would love to hear your thoughts and your reactions to this. Thanks so much.
दोस्तों, ये थी शुगरबॉक्स कंपनी के को-फाउंडर एंड सीटीओ रिपुंजय बरारिया की कहानी, जिसे हम सभी ने सुना और समझा। ऐसे ही प्रेरक एवं रोचक कहानियाँ रोजाना सुनने के लिए हमारा चैनल सब्सक्राइब करें और बेल आइकन जरूर दबाएं। अगर आज की ये कहानी आपको पसंद आई है तो इसे लाइक, कमेंट और शेयर करना ना भूलें। दोस्तों, अब आप भी बन जाइए भारत की प्रोफेशनल कम्युनिटी की आवाज और सुनाओ अपनी कहानी, बनाओ अपनी पहचान की इस मुहिम से जुड़कर। अपने जीवन के अनुभवों, करियर यात्रा, अपने उत्पादों एवं सेवाओं के पीछे की वास्तविक कहानी से देशवासियों को प्रेरित करें और अपनी एक नई पहचान बनाएं। Tell your story, inspire and build your brand with the power of video. जय हिंद, जय भारत।